A Muslim guy gave her dawah and she accepted Islam, she converted, MashaAllah, may Allah bless you and keep you steadfast. When I give dawah to any person, doesn't mean that we establish an emotional relationship, but it may happen. People fall in love even of different religions. So you love the man who gave you dawah and you accepted Islam on his hands or because of him. His role when it comes to you accepting Islam has ended. And now we started a new role in life, which is, I fell in love with him. So he proposed to you or you proposed to him and you agreed to get married and he did not get married. A promise to get married or not to get married is something undergoes the conditions of both of you. Like you fell in love with him, but later on you fell in love with somebody else. So you said, Ahmad, I'm sorry, I cannot marry you. It's your call because it's marriage. And the condition of marriage is ijab. The pillars of marriage is ijab and qabul. So both of you are on the same page. He proposed to you and you agreed to the proposal and you don't mind. And that's what we call in Islam, even to Muslims who are born in Islam, engagement is mere promise. So you or him, anyone, have an access to break the engagement even without explaining any reason. So I don't want you to link between your being converted and accepting the fact that Allah is the only one who's worthy of worship and not being able to marry the person who gave you da'wah and you accepted Islam on his hand. One thing. Secondly, every time I'm invited to a university or a school across North America where the MSA students, Muslim Student Association, they invite me, then this is a very frequent question where some girls would come to me and say that she's giving da'wah, she's very active in da'wah, and then there is this guy who's not Muslim, he's not practicing, he's other Christian or atheist, and she's giving him da'wah and she likes him and say, my sister, if you're true in your da'wah, you just need to focus on ladies like you. And the brothers should give da'wah to the brothers. You're not required to go out on a date with this guy because you want to give him da'wah. That is not permissible. That is not permissible. They keep doing that. And she says, many times, she says, this guy, Sheikh, is very cool, he's very nice, he's very tall, and mashallah, is very muscular, and he's in basketball. Well, I am not interested in knowing his bio. I want to know that, what is your question? Oh, I'm giving him da'wah. But it requires me to go out with him, go to the coffee shop and enjoy breakfast together so that, we get closer to give him da'wah. Invalid. That is not permissible. Likewise, when one of the boys, one of the students in Muslim Student Association, is, mashallah, giving da'wah to one sister and he's taking her out and they're meeting and they're dating and his intention is to give her da'wah. Is this valid? No, that is not valid. That is not permissible. Mashallah, we have many sisters who would like to give da'wah, but instead they give da'wah to the boys. So why don't you give da'wah to the boys and the sisters give da'wah to the sisters? And then when somebody accepts Islam, you guys fall in each other and you feel like marrying each other, go ahead through the process. Has nothing to do with whether you were born Muslim or you recently accepted Islam. Just verify the person is a true Muslim. Lest you will get separated. We have a question from Mudathar in India whose question was a story. Then I said, why don't you make the long story short? A couple who were in the university, they fell in love and they got married without their parents' consent, and then they were quarreling. So your question is about their quarreling or about that their marriage, according to the vast majority of the scholars, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Imam Shafi'i, and most of the scholars, with the exception of Imam Hanifa, this marriage is invalid. And in order to invalidate it, they must process a new marriage contract with the consent of the guardian. They didn't even consult the man at home who is feeding her, who is her father, who is her guardian. They didn't even ask him. And you're asking me about quarreling? The marriage is invalid. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أيما امرأة نكحت بغير إذن وليها فنكاحها باطل. And al-Mu'minin Aisha radiallahu anha quoted the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam also as saying, لا نكاح إلا بولي وشاهدي عدل. With my due respect and utmost respect to my Imam Abu Hanifa. But when there is a hadith, I do not take any opinion. It is not valid for a woman to give herself in marriage without the consent of her guardian. And if you dare to say, because I'm Hanafi, I'd like to teach you about Hanafi a little bit. Imam Abu Hanifa requires something called the compatibility. So not every man is valid to marry every woman, even though they're Muslims. And he gives the guardian the haqq, the right to separate them even after they get married, if the guardian believes that they are not compatible, they are not from the same level, whether of education, religious practices, or Arabic and non-Arabic. Imam Abu Hanifa is very strict in this regard. So why don't you take it easy on yourself and on me, and learn that a woman should never give herself in marriage without the consent of the guardian. But Sheikh, the guardian is very stubborn. He wants a rich man, he wants an American citizen, he wants a blue passport, he wants this and this and that. If righteous suitors propose and the guardian refuses, in this case the guardianship is not for granted. So there is a local judge, there is a local imam. After investigating the case, he will simply confiscate this guardianship right, irrespective of giving his daughter in marriage, and then the imam or the Muslim judge can give you in marriage to the person whom you both believe that he's a good suitor. Yunus giving da'wah at college is the best time to give da'wah in your entire life, because they are your mates, your classmates, you relate to each other. Okay, so the best way to give da'wah is when people observe that you are practicing Islam. They observe you, lower your gaze. You don't enjoy looking at women or surfing bad websites. Your roommates, your classmates will see you practicing. They will come and ask you. Best da'wah is whenever it is a prayer time, you have your janamaz, your prayer rag, and you offer your prayer, even in the campus here or there. Best da'wah when you're generous to people, you invite your colleagues, and your intention is ta'leeful qulub, to invite them to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, I know college environment, whether in Muslim or non-Muslim countries, is full of violations from an Islamic perspective. But you're not required to change the world. You're required to remain steadfast and do as much as you can, even if you work on 1 or 2 or 3 people. And I can assure you 100%, if you do, your da'wah will be effective, and Allah will utilize you to guide some of His servants. And if Allah guides through you one person, that is indeed better for you than the whole world and what it contains.